Hey yo, good morning everybody. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are heading up to Seymour. We are going to SRHC. We're taking our first trip with the railway group, so I'm very excited for that. And we are celebrating the Northwest Line's 150th anniversary in between Melbourne and Wodonga. So the trip today runs from Seymour Station to Benalla, and the train does stop at the individual stations along the way and people can get off and get on. But we are getting off at Violet Town, and what we are doing is we're going to go to the Southern Aurora Accident Memorial site. We're going to have a walk around there. We're going to talk about some of the history between one of Melbourne's most famous train accidents. So that's the basic plan for today. Let's get into the video. Roll the intro. Welcome to the historic Seymour Railway Station. The railway to Seymour officially opened in 1872 on the 20th of November. This railway station is full of history, such as the locomotive depot just north of the station, which is now the SRHC group, which is used to hold their rolling stock and locomotives and also to stable V-line trains. Today's trip is about celebrating 150 years of the Northeast Line. This line runs through the electrified Craigieburn line. Track on the line is broad gauge and standard gauge. As you all know, the states couldn't agree on a gauge, so that's why we have the different gauges. The Northeast Line serves the cities of Wangaratta and Seymour. The Spirit of Progress, which used to be Australia's premier express service, used the line to run from Melbourne to Albury on the New South Wales border. The Spirit of Progress was once pulled by the amazing S-Class steam locomotives, numbered S300 to S303. The S-Class locomotive's home was actually here at Seymour. And if you saw my open day video, you would have seen that they actually still have one of the S-Class tenders in the yard there, which is still amazing to see. Now, if you're wondering where all of this is actually the refreshments room or the dining room inside the Seymour railway station. And it's pretty cool to have this open and have the history, a lot of photos, a lot of information about the railway, the history of Seymour, and some of the locomotives that have visited this famous station over the years. It was great to see a lot of Victorian Railways history preserved and saved here, and it's really nice to have a lot of that for people to read and enjoy reading about their history in their area. Now, my original plan for the video was to get off at Violet Town and spend some time there and then get back on the train once the train comes back from Benalla and then head back to Seymour. But what we're doing as a railway group is we're actually just going up to all the stations together, getting off for about 15 to 20 minutes, then get back on the train, so that way we can enjoy and explore everything that all the stations have to offer for the celebration. Now, there was a 30-minute delay for getting the train. The train wasn't able to get to the platform as there was a shunting incident in the yard, which triggered a sensor and the train wasn't able to get to the platform. But eventually it came, and that's all good. It's all part of the fun and part of the day. But because of the delay, we actually had to have our time minimized at all the stops in the stations to make up time, as we had missed our slot and we had to make way for the freight trains and the passenger services on the line. Missed some shots, but that's just an excuse to go back up again with the railway group. But it's almost time to get on the train, so let's watch it pull in and then get on. Today's locomotives pulling the train is S307 and C501. The C-Class in a VR livery and the S-Class in a Pacific National livery. And as we depart Seymour and head north, you can see the S-Class tender next to the water tower. This is the locomotive depot, which is now the Seymour Railway Heritage Centre Railway Group. We had a nice, cool compartment with very comfy chairs, a great view outside the window, and there's also the refreshments bar in the carriage next door, which is one of the NZ cars. The whole train is open, so you get to walk up and down the consist and have a look at all the various rolling stock that's part of this train. The first stop was Avenel, but we didn't spend too much time there, so I just stayed on the train. But I'm getting off here at Euroa to have a quick look around the consist. So after our short stop, it was time to get back on the train and head up to Violet Town. We arrived in Violet Town, and it's time to pay our respects at the Southern Aurora Memorial Garden and look back on the tragic day. On the 7th of February in 1969, the southbound overnight train, the Southern Aurora Passenger Service, was on its way to Melbourne and was supposed to pass a freight train which was heading northbound. It was scheduled to pass the freight service at Benalla due to both services running late. But sadly and unfortunately, the driver of the Southern Aurora had died at the controls due to a heart attack. The Southern Aurora continued at line speed, and with no driver, the Southern Aurora continued onwards to crash head-on into the freight locomotive. The two locomotives collided at a closing speed of 172 kilometers an hour. The locomotive and some carriages went flying into the air, and there was also a fire due to the locomotive leaking fuel. 117 people were injured, and there were 9 deaths. A very tragic day in Victorian Railways history. Alright, time to get back to the fun stuff. So we made it to Benalla. Sort of. We were put into a siding. We had to wait for the freight services and an XPT to go through first before we could get to the platform. There was a bit of a wait until we could finally get to the platform, which the sausage sizzle was waiting for us, and I was so hungry. I'll tell you, we could smell it from inside the train. We're just very, very hungry. But yes, we just had to wait a little bit longer. I finally picked up a couple of snags and got to have a look at this model of a first-class railway carriage, which looks like an old V-line, like an end set. If anybody could tell me a little more about that, then please leave a comment below. There were more stands with pictures and history about the area and the railway itself. Even pictures of a K-class pushing coal wagons off the ledge and causing an accident. So this was 150 years of the Northeast Line. This was an amazing celebration and a great tour for the Seymour Railway Heritage Centre to be putting on. It was amazing to be part of this, and it was definitely a fun experience, and I definitely learned a lot about that line and the area itself. Now, we were scheduled to be back at Seymour at 5:30 p.m, but because of all the delays and all of the trains we had to give way to, we made it back at 7:30, so 2 hours late. Not a problem for us rail fans. I'm sure we enjoyed more time on the train, so that's just a bonus for us. But as always, it was always a great train day, so that was an amazing experience. Highly recommend. Go check out the SRHC group if you want to ride one of these trains or get on one of their tours. And if you liked the video, give us a like, subscribe, comment below. Follow me on my social media. I've got Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks again for watching the channel. I appreciate all of you. Take care and peace.